guys. Today I'm going to be explaining the 27 amendments. So, yeah, in history there have been 27 amendments in the U.S. spanning from 1789, which is when they first proposed it, to 1992, when they last ratified their last amendment. So, without further ado, let's go. So the first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights. They were proposed in 1789 and passed in 1791. So the first one goes over freedom of religion, which means you can't have an established religion. It has to be freedom of religion. Freedom of speech. That's a very important one. Freedom of press. Assembly. Right to petition government if things are not going well. Okay, that was the First Amendment. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, so citizens can own guns. Let's see. Third Amendment restricts the quartering of soldiers in private homes. So basically, it restricts soldiers from going into private homes, basically. Fourth Amendment, can't have unreasonable searches, must have search warrant for probable cause, and it must be for a probable cause, meaning it can't be for no reason. There has to be a reason to search the house or anything like that. And you have to have a warrant, so that way it's understandable. Fifth Amendment protects citizens' right to due process against the jury and prohibits self-incrimination and double jeopardy. So basically, it protects the citizens, basically, from getting abused by the courts. So this is another very important amendment. Sixth Amendment, the right to a speedy and organized public trial, which means it must be organized, it can't be sloppy, it has to be well-paced. That way they can convict the person if they did the crime or not. Seventh Amendment, right to a jury trial in civil lawsuits. So basically, the defendant gets a right to a jury for civil lawsuits, or a jury trial, if they do a crime. And that will determine if the crime is guilty or not guilty, or the defendant is guilty or not guilty, is better words of saying it. Eighth Amendment prohibits excessive fines and bails, as well as cruel and unusual punishment, which means you cannot excessively use bail to get out of jail now, and you can't abuse the punishment powers in the government. So basically it restricts abuse of power, in other words. Ninth Amendment states that rights not enumerated in the Constitution are retained by the people. So the rights that are not in the Constitution will be shared to the people. 10th Amendment states that the federal government possesses only these powers delegated, enumerated to it through the Constitution, and all the others are reserved to the states or the people. So whatever is reserved through the Constitution goes through the federal government, and what's not is shared by the states and the people. 11th Amendment makes states immune from suits from out-of-state citizens and foreigners not living within the state borders. Basically, people that are not immigrants or legal immigrants to the U.S. cannot lawsuit people that are in the states. Something like that. Let me see. 12th Amendment revises presidential election rules by having president and vice president elected together instead of separately. As before, the vice president was a runner-up instead of elected with the president. 13th Amendment abolishes and outlaws slavery. Oh, actually, let me see. 11th Amendment was proposed in 1794 and passed in 1795. 12th Amendment was proposed in 1803 and passed in 1804. And like I said, it revises the presidential election rules by having president and vice president elected together instead of separately. 13th Amendment, proposed in 1865 and passed in 1865, abolishes and outlaws slavery, which was basically the whole point of like the Civil War. It was fought on slavery. 14th Amendment was proposed in 1866 and passed in 1868. Defines citizenship, contains the privileges or is it of immunes clause, the due process, and the equal protection clause. Deals with post-Civil War issues. Reconstruction, basically. In other words, I guess. Yeah. 15th Amendment, proposed 1869, passed in 1870, prohibits the denial of the right to vote based on race, color, or previous condition of servitude. So basically, you cannot deny people just because of their race or color, or, condition of servitude. Basically, their medical conditions too. You can't do that. That's what it's basically saying. 16th Amendment, proposed 1909, passed in 1913, permits Congress to levy tax without levy taxes without apportioning it within various states or basing it in the United States Census. So basically, it has to be reviewed by the census before it can get levied, or like the tax can get levied. Yeah. 17th Amendment, proposed 1912, passed 1913, establishes direct election of the United States senators by popular vote. So the way they get elected, the senators from now on, is by popular vote. 18th Amendment, proposed 1917, passed 1919. In other words, it's called Prohibition. Prohibits the manufacturing and selling of alcohol. So, yeah. This was also passed slightly before the Great Depression. 1919, 1920 was the 19th Amendment. And this was a big one in history. Because women got the right to vote finally. This was taking place during like the second wave of feminism, which was like the women's suffrage and stuff, which allowed the women to get voted. They were doing like protests around that time. And it finally happens in the 19th Amendment. 20th Amendment, 1932 to 1933. Changes the dates at which the president and vice president get inaugurated. From, I guess, like, it being random, like around February and March, to like January 20th and January 3rd, respectively. Which means the dates and when they get inaugurated is different now. And we still have that. Ever since the 20th Amendment, we still have that rule. Yeah. So it's pretty important in history. Let me see. We're now up to the 21st Amendment, which was, let me see. Yeah, right there. It was passed in 1933. It repeals Prohibition, which was passed like a couple decades earlier. Let's see. Now it's the 22nd Amendment, which this one's a really important one because it basically limits the terms of the United States president from unlimited to only 2 terms, because they realized that FDR kept winning the votes from 1932, 1936, and 1940. He won it 3 consecutive times, which was the only time in presidential history that's ever happened. So they wanted to cut that out and do it from unlimited terms to 2 terms. I guess just in case the president dies in office or something like that. 23rd Amendment The 22nd Amendment was proposed in 1947, passed 1951. Okay, 23rd Amendment, proposed 1960, passed in 1961. Grants the District of Columbia electors in the Electoral College. I guess it gets more electors to the Electoral College. The Electoral College, I meant to say. Yeah. The 24th Amendment, proposed 1962, passed 1964, prohibits the revocation of voting rights due to the non-payment of poll tax or any other tax. So basically, you need to... Let me see. What does revocation mean? I need to look it up. Hold up. Revocation. I'm gonna look it up. So basically, let me see, where was it? You can't cancel voting rights due to non-payment of poll tax or any other tax, because that would be unconstitutional now. I guess that's what it's saying. 25th Amendment, proposed 1965, passed in 1967, addresses succession to the presidency and establishes procedures both for filling vacancy in the office of the vice president and responding to presidential disabilities. So basically, ways to aid the president is what I'm getting out of it for the 25th Amendment. The 26th one is a really important one because it's pretty impactful today. So basically, it changes the legal voting and adult age from 21 to 18. As before that, your minorhood ended at 20 before 1971. Now it ends at 17. So now 18 is a legal adult instead of 21. Well, 21 is still a legal adult, but they basically decreased the voting age and the legal adult age. I think it's pretty good, though, because it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. I like this one. 27th Amendment, proposed... This one took the longest, actually. It was proposed in 1789, and it was passed in 1992. And this is the last amendment that was passed. They haven't made an amendment since. Delays laws affecting congressional salaries from taking effect until after the next election of representatives. So, basically, it gives time for the laws affecting congressional decisions with the salaries from taking effect until after the next election of representatives. So they wait till the election of representatives to affect the congressional salaries, as that proves to be a beneficial factor usually. Yep. And that's the 27 amendments. Let me know which one's your favorite, least favorite, or let me know like what you think of each of these amendments. Anyways, peace.